Well, hello and welcome to Zwift Live. This is our weekly community feature for racing, and I'm your host, Nathan Guerra. If you haven't been joining us throughout the series of the Zwift Racing League, we are into race number 4 today for the Zwift Racing League that we will be covering in the community. And this week, it is the Mighty Metropolitan for race number 3. And if you want to check out some more stuff about that, you can head on over to WTRL.racing. Zwift Racing League, as you can see there on screen. Today it's a scratch race. If you do want to get involved with the Zwift Racing League, next week we do have on December 3rd a team time trial with the triple flat loops. You cannot register a team still, but you definitely can jump into a team. So if you find a team, you still can have an opportunity to race. As usual, joining me today, it is going to be Mr. Dave Toll. Dave, how you doing today?
Good, Nathan. Feels like we haven't been to New York for a while, so I'm excited to get after it here.
Yeah, it's going to be good. We're going to be Central Park, lots of climbing, that's for sure. Let's go ahead and talk about that, actually. We do have a pretty short course out there today in the Mighty Metropolitan for one lap, 20.5 kilometers, 321 meters of climbing, though. Good amount of climbing in a short distance there, Dave.
Yeah, the intensity of the day is going to be the story without a doubt. I mean, 20K, you should expect around half an hour, I would think. We're going to start with the women out here, but it'll be nonstop action. You are either going up or down. I don't know that you can really, outside of one stretch there, about a quarter of the way into the race, you don't find flat road today.
No, you definitely don't find flat road. That's for sure. As it looks like the KOM is going to be the main thing that we're going to be looking at. There is the glass climb and Cat Paw Hill. So, it's, as you can see, about a quarter way through this course, it's a steady up, like up, a little reprieve, and then the KOM. And then from there, it's almost all downhill. I mean, it's all about getting away on that climb, isn't it?
Well, that's going to be the code that needs to be cracked out here is, at the middle part of the race. Do you completely commit to the finale, or do you trust that things are going to come back? And to tell you the truth, it's going to depend on how the racers race the race today. And that's always the case. But certainly this one gives you a lot to work with. But I'd be a little leery of putting all my eggs in one basket there 10K into the race. I think it does come back together, to tell you the truth, especially with the strength of this women's field that we've got. I mean, Nathan, this start list is bananas in our women's A field.
Yeah, it is. Let's go ahead and look at the teams actually here. It's a good point, as Aoni and RT are at the top with 31 points. Cryo DT right on their heels at 29. Really close there, obviously, with the tie across for 3rd and 4th. BL13 and SZ tied up for 3rd and 4th. Sarc Sports are there too. Wow, this is... as you were saying, this is a who's who. Now, BL13 sitting in 4th place, we were actually able to talk to one of their team members. This is an awesome person. One of the funnest interviews I've had. None other than Jill Pruett. Let's go ahead and hear from her about BL13 and ladies racing. Welcome to the program, Jill Pruett. Jill from BL13, welcome.
Thank you, Nathan. Great to be here.
So, Jill, can you tell us a little bit about your background in cycling, how you got started in Zwift?
So I grew up cycling with my family over weekends and really socially. And when I finished university, met my husband, we started doing races outdoors, whether it was running or cycling, mountain bike, trail, road, whatever the race was. And then got into Zwifting mainly during COVID, when I wanted to do a little bit more. I also stopped cycling about 8 years ago when I started having children, and I turned more to running because it was a quick 30 minutes, 40 minutes outdoors, and I could fit that in. When I started Zwifting, it was fantastic. It was great to get back on the bike again and realizing that I can do a short, sharp session, and it doesn't have to be 4 hours on the bike.
As a mom, how does Zwift fit in and your training and like with the kids and everything?
So Zwift has been fantastic. I will either ride in the mornings. I'll do a workout before I go to school, do the lunch boxes and the normal mum things in the mornings. But most of my Zwifting happens at nighttime. So it's great because I get to put the girls to sleep, and it doesn't compromise on my time with the kids. And then once they're asleep, it's my time, and I can go and get on the bike, and I can enjoy being with the team. Got 2 little girls, 6 and almost 8. And my 8-year-old is loving Zwift. It is so cute. She gets so excited, and then she says, oh, I got these thumbs up. They gave me thumbs up, and I got to 26 kilometers an hour. And then he links his steering onto her bike so that she can do the game to try and learn to steer. It's so cute. It's so funny because my husband has his YouTube account and he records all his rides. So Bella just can't wait to have her own YouTube account. It's hilarious.
So Jill, what drew you to Zwift Racing League and BL13?
First entry into Zwift racing was through the time trials. So I started doing time trial racing last year with a South African team, mainly South Africans, called CMC, and that was great. It was an easy introduction. I loved the time trial dynamics, and then later in the year, the CMC team were putting together a ZRL ladies team. And that was my first racing with ladies, and it was great. The dynamic of ladies supporting each other, the camaraderie, both during the race, the lead up to the race, and afterwards as well.
Yeah. So BL13, their women's team is a relatively new initiative. The BL13 men's team is pretty well known and established, but they launched this team, it seemed to me, to be a part of creating parity between men's and women's teams within the elite space. How's that been as a part of your experience in Zwift racing?
It's been great. I think riding with women is a different dynamic. It's great to be part of the movement of having more women in racing. And women supporting each other. And I find it so inspiring riding with such strong A category races. It's been great for me building the teams and the ladies racing. So I'm great. I'm so glad to be part of the BL13 movement.
Within BL13, do you have a certain role, and how do you contribute to the team's overall strategy?
Because I've done so many time trials, my role, I suppose, is helping on the time trials. And if there's a race that they're needing a little bit of sprinting, that's where I can add value. But and then behind the scenes as well, I try and help if need be. But there's a fantastic group of core admins that help with onboarding new team members, looking for new people to join the BL13 team.
Really awesome to hear from Jill. Dave, what BL13 has become, remember that first BL13 moment with the men's team and how they broke out the box? And I feel like what they've done on the women's side now and breaking out the box in some ways too. You know what I mean? They have really taken a men's team and established now off of that a parity that is a force in the community.
Yeah, that moment, Nathan, that's probably going to be coming up 3-ish years ago with BL13 and that coordinated attack that was just so audaciously fun to watch. And I love your interviews. This has been the coolest addition to the broadcast here over the last season or couple of seasons. Nathan, you're doing a fantastic job. And case in point, how would you not be cheering for a person like Jill Pruett when you right. see her racing? Well, she's got such a great spirit. Kind of reminds me of Monnalie Keller a little bit with her daughters embracing Zwift and setting a great role model for those kids. That's special. That really is. So keep it up, Jill Pruett. You're part of our community and make that community shine. No doubt. Yeah,
so awesome. I loved chatting with Jill. Well, Jill's out on course, it looks like. I wonder how it's feeling.
I hope she wins today, Nathan.
We'll hear more from her in between, as we might have a little bit of extra time between the races today. It is going to be fast, furious, but shorter than usual out there today, I have a feeling. And we've got another good little insight into the reality of Jill and Snowy over in I think it's South Africa. So Jill here, though, As you can see, 160 beats per minute as they take off. And let's talk a little bit about the who's who here of this women's field. Again, the reason why we are covering the categories that we are covering is we looked across the ZRL and we saw where the highest ranking that we could find amongst all of the riders and went ahead and selected those. And so we'll be covering this specific division for the women and the division we've been covering for the men's as well at the top of the hour. So as they get on course, though, things are pretty calm. I think they're looking forward to the climbing out here today, Dave.
I think that's going to be the moment of truth, without any doubt today, Nathan. I see the world champ is in the field. Kate McCarthy, I'll confirm. I haven't actually seen her in the field here, but if Kate McCarthy taking the start, obviously that's a mega danger woman today. But Nathan,
seriously.
there's a lot of names. There's a lot of names to look at, though, when push comes to shove. Natalie Stevenson, she's been in fuego. How about Maria Holdcroft lately? Cryo has leveled up between Jenny Eck, Maria Holdcroft, and Natalie Stevenson. That team is not missing a beat. That's for sure. And I would say that there's 10 riders today, Nathan, Jill Pruett included, to be fair. But Leonie Harper is one on Aeonian. But the real rider I'm going to look at closely is going to be Joe Blackburn today, Nathan. Aeonian comes again with
Joe
the
Blackburn.
Yeah, watch out for Blackburn.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. I'm liking the call outs here. Well, there's also some new names. This Carolina Kolkowitz, she's been showing up to the qualifiers for the ZWS as of recently. I think you want to watch out for her a little bit. I think she's pretty motivated. Now, Aeonian, they got put on the back foot. They're leading. But they're used to leading like in a like they almost get undefeated usually, right?
Right.
And I think there's a little bit of like, oh, okay, what do we got to do here to hold on to this lead? Because there's some new names and these teams are leveling up for sure.
Nathan, I love that because you're exactly right. I think if you looked at historically the first team time trial, which is a speciality of Aeonian for sure, they've got as much experience in that discipline as any team in history. But what we saw last week was exactly what any true sporting fan is looking for. As the other teams, it was almost like the Empire Strikes Back, but in reverse, right? As all the other teams rose to the occasion, they were throwing haymakers at Aeonian. And Aeonian, as you said, they're still leading, but it is close. There are 3 teams within 1 point of each other, just a couple points behind Aeonian. It's closer than I think most people would have expected to see. And the good news is it's going to be phenomenal racing. So Nathan, scratch race today. Just going to take it right to the finish line. Good to see the orange and white of Electric Spirit Co. all over the front right now. Looks like they're scheming something up.
Did you notice that at the back of the pack, it was nothing but Aeonian? I saw like 4 or 5 at the back of the pack, maybe knowing that there's a reality here. What's up with somebody throwing down big watts on the downhill? I saw Fire Socks just now. That's interesting. But, this downhill, I think look at Aeonian. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, all at the back. They're reserving for this climb here.
Nathan, we talk about individual riders tail gunning, but not entire teams, to tell you the truth. I think that's phenomenal how confident they are in their ability. And they recognize that when it matters, we'll be there. Don't you worry about Aeonian. That's for sure. So clearly the mindset is let's roll it in chill mode until we get into the thick of it today. And I tell you, there's going to be no lack of action when this one kicks off, Nathan. It is going to be every woman for herself out here.
6.4 watts per kilogram coming from Charlotte Wilson. I saw her slowly moving forward, but it's going to be beast mode, I think, making their way to the front. Oh, now a little bit of a kick off the front as well from another. Is that going to be a Castelli rider?
Nobody puts baby in a corner. I've been waiting for that moment, Nathan.
Bissoni, here we go.
So this, the Italian team we haven't really spoken of. This is the strongest field, I would think, when you look at combativity, talent, racing in the ZRL. As we're into race 3 of season 2 here. But this group of women, this looks like a Zwift World Series start list, more or less, that we've got. But Bissoni's going to take them to task right now as the Italian has hit out. Let's see who's going to respond, Nathan. There's Alice Lethbridge, Christy Tracy, some familiar names riding up in the front of the group right now.
One thing I want to highlight is the pack looks a little bit different when it comes equipment wise. I noticed that immediately. Some riders have gone for speed while others decided to go for climbing. And the riders that you're seeing here that are going in for climbing, that changed up their setups specifically for climbing, they're going to try and get full advantage of that. And that's exactly what Busoni is doing here. It looks to me she chose a bike specifically to do this.
Well, I agree. I mean, a lot of people talking about, those selections, the NV wheels are going to be extremely popular. I would imagine we'll see plenty of folks on a Pinarello Dogma. Well, it is spicy right now here. Nobody quite is. That's Lucia Blanco, the Spanish rider, moving up onto the front with Julia Klein locking in. But, you're seeing them sitting on some, well, you know what? Not as big of watts as I thought maybe here. Things going to go kind of back and forth here before we get into the serious climbing.
Yeah, I want to highlight that how intense that attack from Busoni was, the separation that happened. I saw 9 to 10 watts per kilogram for quite a while. I mean, that's almost a sprint type effort over that first little glass punch. And then she continued on at a solid 5 or 6. So that effort.
Look at the number of riders getting popped.
Really, yeah, that effort was pretty, like that was a full on like MTB go up the, ski hill kind of start to this climb. So it wasn't like, oh, let's get into rhythm. That was like, make the move or you're gone kind of a situation.
Yeah, that's a really well put, that MTB on wet grass, right? Where
That's
it's
always
just
the
like,
worst.
it's going to,
it's
yeah. But I have a feeling these riders might ride their way back into the group, Nathan, but there's an attack going clear. These ladies are going to make this into an interesting 20K racing around New York. Nelly, that's going to be Busoni again here, Nathan.
It's a good spot. Okay, I got to highlight this really quickly, Dave. I might even show a replay of it because that was so well done. So if you're looking for a tactical way, like a lot of people will just kind of ride off the front, right? They'll or at the front and push watts, right? They'll just kind of push watts and it doesn't necessarily do what you're looking to do, but watch what she does. She goes from middle or back of the pack. And do you see where she does it? She didn't do it once they hit the downhill. She did it right as she was hitting the downhill. And because of that, it immediately gained speed that the rest of the pack was not going to have. And it's all about, if you want to get a gap, it's about speed differentiation. It's not about power differentiation. And you have to create that speed differentiation, and then the group is not with you. I see people think, oh, orange numbers are all the same across the board for that differentiation. It is just not true. And so, look, that was so well done there by Busoni.
I would echo that, Nathan. If you want to get a gap, that is how you do it. That is a tutorial for you right there. I mean, we should clip that out, Nathan, and because so many times you see people thinking that if I just get on the front and apply the pressure, I'll create a gap, it'll crack them. No, all you're doing is setting a tempo that everybody's comfortable sitting in your slipstream. So Roberto Busoni putting on a bit of a clinic here in the early going in New York. We're a quarter of a way into this race. It's hard to believe that we're down to 14.5K, Nathan, but it's going to be, you're going to be digging deep. There's no question about that. And Roberto Busoni is going to help make this into a tough race as the South Africans are leading the chase right now, one of them being Jenna Baril. There's Baby. I was noticing, Nathan, that's a new name racing at this level, another one of the Italians on that Castelli team.
Well, they are making the catch here. There's a lot of sacrifice there. She had a plan. She was trying to stick to it, but here comes BL13 up and over the top. Look at that. Little bit of a punch there in the pink cap on top. And that is going to be Pruett. Pruett's out here. She gets her interview in and she's like, look, we got to put on a show prior to hitting the Queen of the Mountain here. Now they're going to hit it real soon. Going to make things interesting. That's for sure.
Yes, still right now, you look at this group, just one big blob. I have a feeling, though, we're going to see. The Italians today have been the animators. That's for sure. You could see another rider moving up. But right now, everybody just locking down here in this front group.
A lot of chatter in game all of a sudden. I didn't realize that there were people like, look, they're all waiting for the train or the bus. And cheering everybody on here, it looks like. I didn't realize it was so... I usually don't have sounds on in game through this section where I'm playing music or something, so I don't realize how loud the fans are. But they're having a little discussion about how late the bus is because these riders are out on their roads. on their glass course here now. All back together, Dave. They didn't let it go. It was definitely, well, what's interesting is that, did that actually cause any damage? Or I don't think it necessarily did, that section.
Not to any of the hitters, that's for sure. I mean, if you just took a screenshot, Nathan, and didn't know anything about these women, you would think that this Aeonian team must be kind of struggling a little bit, right? They don't look like the strongest team in this race in this one brief moment as the entire team gathered at the back of the peloton. When this explodes, there's going to be that, and there you go, another attack going.
She went again. She just wants this to happen. She's all in on this move. She's not giving up on it. Yeah, and she wants an early break, and she doesn't want to sprint. She's not a pure sprinter. She's a climber, and the reality here is Bassoni is trying to play to her forte. She's trying to make the race her race and not anybody else's.
You got to love that mindset of a racer, certainly the kind of rider that you'd like to have on a team, someone who's just a go-getter. And taking a look at her compared to the two-time world champion back from 22 and 23, Los Adahist here, one of the most impressive riders on the platform, without any doubt. I mean, if you're comparing yourself to Los, Nathan, that's the high end, that's for sure. And she stacks up pretty nicely here, especially in that 20-minute power.
I think that's why she's going early. She's got that good 5. She's got that good 20. Now, maybe Los in the last 90 days or so hasn't put in. This rider comparison may not pull back behind there, but I mean, Los, she's got one of the best kicks, 11.9 watts per kilogram that you can see for 15 seconds there. And this is why Roberta is trying to go, right? This is what she's up to.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Full respect for the way she's racing her bike out here today on Zwift, no doubt. As a matter of fact, I mean, I would give her some type of courageous award through the first half of this race, but this is the reality as it pitches up, and it is on now. As that's going to be Jill Pruett still on the front. Jill making the most of the limelight out here today. Good on you, Jill. But I'm now looking to some of those names that we were talking about earlier, Nathan, the Natalie Stevensons, the Maria Holdcroft. Let's see what Cryo's got up their sleeve today.
Bassoni again to the front, pressing on. Now it's going to be Aeonian sitting, covering wheels. Here comes Coalition. What's Coalition up to? And who from Coalition is going to be my question is starting to make these moves. It's going to be Alice Lethbridge along with Ann Nevin. They're the two Coalition riders. Loving their setup here. I'm liking how they're kind of matched on the hats a little bit. It looks like a little different, though. Choices on bikes is going to be the Canyon here for Lethbridge. And then behind, I believe Nevin is on the Pinarello, right locked on the wheel, as you can see. It is going to be, who is with here? That is going to be Wilson, actually, from Aeonian. This is the rider we were looking at earlier.
Yeah, here we go. This is the cream rising to the top in front of our eyes right now. Harper making it up there. Strong. Kimberly Hoekstra going to be a rider to watch here.
Cecilia Hansen is here today. Kelsey Van Shore, she's going to be a good climber. She's definitely a little pocket rocket that can take on a climb like this. Watch out for her. Now to the front again. That's going to be Holdcroft that you were calling out. Adegis now making moves as well. And I think Los is probably going to be one of the riders everybody's watching. And perhaps Los is sitting in, the way you take this climb on, at least the way that I take this climb on, and usually is pretty successful, is you sit right around this front wheels and make sure you match. And it's that last little kick until it flattens out where you can gain a ton of speed and then take that speed into the final punch. It's like a really, really sharp punch uphill. And I get a feeling that that's probably what some of these riders are waiting for. Now, Bassoni, though, sat in for a second and is going again.
This is the exclamation point at the end of a long run-on sentence of attacking from Roberto Bassoni. How about Christy Tracy, Nathan? Christy probably having the longest run of good health that she's seen as an adult, right? Hasn't had a crash, hasn't, knock on wood, obviously, but she's riding up in this front group, climbing better than we've ever seen from Christy Tracy. But these women don't play as Nevin, Pruett, Adhaste. I think Los is right now just kind of looking around to see what her teammates are doing, I would think, as this is a team sport when you talk about the ZRL, and it doesn't do Los any good to blow up the Aeonian squad. But, Nathan, I'm a little surprised that we're not seeing more Aeonian on the front right now. So the other teams are really, really taking it to what has been the top squad in ZRL for the last couple of seasons.
Just about to finish up the
Look at
climb
the
here.
damage.
This is that second kick I was talking about to the finish line. This is where, people look for a little bit of reprieve, and if you don't speed up through that flat section and take the speed into this 11% gradient here at this point, you could find yourself off the back. And now here goes Los. This can get away. She needs a solid few seconds here. Now, not by herself, I think, but you could have a lead group, maybe a 4 if they stop pedaling behind. It's all about carrying speed over the top here and getting into that 57 as quickly as you possibly can. It's going to be Klein. It's going to be Pruett. It's going to be Harper. But I think the Dragon Tail is just enough here for them to come back. But Los might just continue on here and say, forget it. I'm speeding up, Dave.
Yeah, well, I mean, she doesn't have much to lose, that's for sure. She definitely can bet on herself. How about Maria Marb and Julia Klein sitting up there leading this chase? It looks like it might split into that third group should merge together with the first chase group right now. I would imagine that Los has made a bit of a statement on the climb, but she would be expecting to be in a reduced peloton. And it looks like we might be down to a sub-20 rider front group here. Time to take some inventory. How many Aeonian? It's at least 3, from what I can tell, are going to make it into this selection. And it does look to me like pretty close to a 20 rider group might be the reality here in a couple minutes, Nathan. Big,
oh
big
my goodness,
moves being made out here.
They're using their, oh my gosh, Dave, the anvil. That's the discussion today we didn't go over. There's anvils out here today, Dave, and she used it on the downhill with the gap here at this point. She's getting away now with that, but now another rider, Holdcroft, used her anvil as well. Now, it's a risky move to use the anvil right now because you don't have it for a sprint later if there's any kind of downhill at all in the sprint. Now look at the speed that's carried through from Holdcroft. Los is going to have to kick hard here at this point. There are going to be some separations, but it doesn't look like it's quite enough. That was a big risk moment to use the anvil at that moment right here, Dave.
Yeah, some interesting Zwiftcraft being displayed, no doubt, and you can see how Los has to make an effort just to stay in this group as we're watching the formation of what should be the vanguard of this race. Jill Pruett is there, Jenny Eck, Holdcroft, Harper, Van Shore. How about Kelsey's ride today? There is a rider that has leveled up here in 2020 at this part of 2024. Question becomes now, does that second group catch the front group here, Nathan? That gap, yeah, I think they do. There's enough talent back there. This will be interesting to watch.
They wanted to slow it down, I think, Aeonian.
Cryo has 3.
Aeonian 4. Cryo has 4. Aeonian has 3. I think it is.
My.
And so now they want to slow it down, I bet. I think that's exactly what they're thinking. What's going on behind? It looks like it's going to be Allberg. No, there is no. Cryo has 5. Cryo has 5.
And look at this. There's no Aeonian in Chase 1.
They have to press the pace now. So, Cryo has to press the pace. If they don't, they let Aeonian get back on terms because behind, we've got Wilson and Kelly on the chase here at this point. So, Dave, are they going to get together and make things happen? But then, are you just losing and pulling Aeonian along? But they've got enough. I mean, you've got 2 extra riders up there. It's worth it, in my opinion. You just go all in.
Well, I mean, this is the moment of the season right now, Nathan, because these teams, they need to work together. You've got Aeonian on the ropes. They're going to fight back here. 2 riders in this 7-rider group. So this is a dramatic moment here with 7.5K of racing remaining. It's almost all downhill, couple uphill kickers, but for the most part, it's going to be flat out flying to the finish line. So these other teams up in that front group, it's not just, but well, I mean, to be honest, it really is Cryo on the spot right now, where if they don't work to hold off this group, and it looks like
over.
It's going to come back.
They sat up, Dave. They sat up. Oh, man.
Fantastic racing. I mean, this is some truly interesting dynamics going on out here today. So they're going to be level again now. Does the advantage go to Aeonian at this point? Do they have 5 versus 4
it's
for Cryo?
5v5 because there was one Cryo.
5v5,
there was one Cryo that was in the second chase group that merged earlier. So now it's a 5v5 with the Cryo RDT situation. We're backing with Wilson. On the back is Nat Lawrence. Nat having a good ride out here today. Good to see. Coalition do have 3 here, but for them to really make anything happen, they're going to have to break this group up, I would think. But they're up against some serious firepower to make anything happen. Beast Mode with 2. It looks like Electric Spirit Co. with 1. SZ are also here. We did not mention them. They've got 4. They've been under our radar a little bit.
Yeah, so they're right there. Kate McCarthy must have scratched. Nathan, I'm not seeing her anywhere, so just want to mention that, as I do see one Roca jersey here, but that's not McCarthy. That was the team that she was
No
on
McCarthy.
the roster of today.
So no world champion. It would have been world champion versus former world champion if she would have been here today. That would have made things
Actually, you really would have
interesting.
covered. Yeah, you would have covered 3 of the 4 really world championships, with Los having 2.
Yeah, pretty
under
awesome.
her
Blanco
name.
now toward the front, Electric Spirit Co. You know, when you're a solo rider like that with this many team members, they watch each other a little bit. You know,
Yeah, you should definitely
you can
have
kind of take
a little
advantage
bit
of that a little bit, like to give it a
I
go.
would agree. Yeah, I mean, you do have a little bit of an opportunity that other riders don't, because you're not going to be marked woman by woman as some, like if you're on Aeonian and you attack, you better believe that you'll have Cryo covering here. She might. Let's see if she rolls those dice. Does our winner, is it going to be a group sprint here? I mean, there's a decent likelihood it's going to be hard to break away from this group.
Yeah, it's a good question, Dave. I mean, we don't have a whole lot of uphill from here on out. There, I mean, the sections
not a lot to work with.
It is bumpy though. It is bumpy. You can throw some solid attacks. They have to be very smart attacks. They have to be like what we saw from Bassoni. They have to be attacks
But if you look,
go ahead.
well, look at it from 18, the penultimate kilometer to the finish. The only place it goes uphill is really the last 350 meters, where you're into full-on combat mode at that point, right? You're sprinting for the race win, or at least trying to get up and get as many points as possible. It's going to be really interesting here. But certainly, huge opportunity for Cryo today.
Yeah, this is going to be interesting if Cryo can pull this off. I mean, it's a tough one, that's for sure. Now, the section that they're going to be coming into, it's really lumpy. After they leave the glass section here, there's probably not going to be a lot of action here on the glass roads. There's just a reality that it's really flat. Anything's going to get covered
almost
pretty quickly.
any moves.
Yeah.
Right, and almost anything you do will be used against you ultimately in the Tai Chi of bike racing here. The counterattack will be vicious over your attack.
And so what's going to happen is they're going to descend, though, and they're going to hit where they climbed up to get on the glass roads. They're going to hit the section where they would go left instead up that the other side of that Cat Paul's Hill, and then it's going to be immediately after a little downhill and then a steady grind uphill for a solid minute or minute and a half. There are opportunities there to just blow things apart before getting to the finish line. It's bumpy enough that you can jump and jump. I've gotten away a few times there. I've seen riders do it before. I've seen it in U.S. National Championship. Did Bassoni just find her way back to this group because they sat up? But she goes off
now
the front.
Attacking. Yeah. What a ride she's had today. Certainly the most spirited rider in our peloton, Roberto Bassoni.
And here we go. This is that climb I was talking about.
She might have
The
just
main
lit the
kick
fuse,
right
though.
here.
Right.
This is going to be the kicker. And look at the speed that they're carrying, Dave, coming right on through. And is it going to be able to carry through, though? And Bassoni, she might have jumped back on quickly, but it quickly finds herself out the back as she was on the front there with not the speed differentiation she was looking for. It's going to be Cryo on the front, pressing the pace. There'll be a little bit of downhill. That will put their heart rates up. But now is the long, steady grind that I was talking about the hit. This is one of the last opportunities, and Blanco heads to the front for it.
Well, you kind of predicted this one, Nathan, or at least Blanco trying to feel out whether they were going to give her a gap, and it doesn't look like Cryo's going to play around at all. I was noticing that Aeonian had grouped at the back of this lead group here, but not for long. It looks like they're really starting to stir the soup now.
3. Now watch that percentage. We had 3%, 2%. That's going to steadily climb a little bit here. It's not going to get really intense or anything, but if you give a little bit of a jump, you can press it here for quite a while. It's the last opportunity right here before it kind of just turns into a sprint, uphill sprint, though, for the finish line.
Yeah, this is the last bit of severe terrain. There's a couple, uphill drags, but nothing to no launch pads is a good way to put it.
Yeah. And so if you really, and that's the hard thing. Like I always am hesitant because I like to take full advantage of gameplay. And when there isn't like necessarily a full-on like smarts advantage. I don't always risk anything. This is one of my places where I'm like, oh, you just got to really jump and work for it here, and if they want to pull you back, they just will. And so, but I've been put on the back foot here plenty of times. This is definitely a section, but it looks like they're pretty comfortable at this point. Just that's just a cover perhaps there from BL13. Not sure if that's a move. It looks like it's trying to get away a little bit, but holding together with Pruett here on the front.
I think the reality that we're going to be sprinting out of this group is starting to settle in with these ladies here. Nathan, want to get your timing right. That's going to be critical now, down to a little over 3 kilometers of racing. It's an interesting type of course here. 20 really intense Ks bring you to the finish. Most of the monster sprinters would have been dropped on the climb through the middle part of the race.
Wow, I did not realize this. This is interesting. She said that she likes sprinting, but I did not realize the reality of what Jill Pruett brings to the line. I'm seeing, actually on Zwift Power, I'm seeing a little bit more than that even, but this is a good comparison here. You bring Jill to the line, watch out. She's in a good position, but hopefully she's not wasting too much energy here. Wouldn't it be amazing if our rider who we had the interview with that has said, oh, I'm not that great with the A's, and kind of downplayed, or like she's obviously holding it in with former world champion here at this point, and she's got the kick to make this happen.
I'm really impressed by Jill Pruett's numbers. Don't sell yourself short, Jill. I don't think she is, Nathan, the way she's been running today. And I'm usually one of the first to point out, like we saw in the qualifier last week.
This is real, Dave. This is real. This is a real move. Hold on 1 second.
Here we go.
Stevenson here on the front with
these are the last
with
ditch
an
efforts. So that's going to be Stevenson in the blue here on the front. They're playing their anvil, so they've made their move. They've committed to this. Marb over the top. These are 2 really talented women. You give them an inch, they might take a mile. It is on as we come up on the penultimate kilometer here. So this is an interesting moment in the race here, Nathan, as Natalie and Maria are getting a response. It's going to be Aeonian and Leonie Harper jumping out of this group.
Leonie Harper looking to cover it. Obviously, you can see here. We'll see if it makes the riders not want to continue on at this point. But that's a cover and kill here. It looks like trying to make that happen. On the front, it is going to be beast mode. Now Harper may be over the top. Is that what she? Nope. She's just covering and killing it here. Will beast mode cover is going to be the big question. Look at beast mode with Klein sitting in.
I think Aeonian is trying to use superior depth with their squad as they've made this really tough. How about Lucia Blanco, the only electric spirit rider? She's trying to hold on in the front as they rapidly come up on 1K to go. Incredibly hard to escape from this group. You'd have to be Houdini to pull off that act here, Nathan. These ladies are locking it down for a sprint in my mind.
1.2K to go. Here we go. And now, as you can see here, Dave, they're going to make their way through this little bit of a section. They will be coming up on a downhill in just a moment as they look to set this up. 1K to go, and everybody just watching. It's getting very quiet in the pack suddenly because you don't want to be the one in the front. The people who saved their anvils, Dave, are in a solid position at this point because it's a very steep downhill right on into an uphill. And if you carry that speed, that's a little bit early from the coalition rider. We'll see if they can get away with it. I've seen it happen before, even with that early punch. And now it's Alex Lethbridge. I think she's maybe going to be able to make that happen, but
there's the
a little too much.
A little too early, I think. Well, here we go.
Yeah,
this
now
is
it's going to be over the top.
Aeonian all over the front.
Holdcroft, Adegeest, Holdcroft. Now I think it's going to be right to the left. Holdcroft makes it happen. Holdcroft takes it down. What?
Yeah,
she
but
is
in
on
the big
fire
picture,
lately, Dave.
No doubt about that. So all credit where it's due as Maria Holdcroft, a command performance, but Nathan, big picture, Aeonian dominating. It looked to me like they had at least 3 in the top 6. That was the only scoring opportunity today. It's a scratch race at the finish line. I don't think Aeonian's going to be beat today.
Ooh, we're gonna have to wait and see on that one. I mean, Holdcroft taking the win. I saw another cryo back there though. I mean, I don't know. Well, wait. Well, we'll.
Well, the top 10 will tell you everything you need to know today.
You're right. Yeah, it will. It definitely will. But Maria Holdcroft, I gotta say, Dave, this is a new Maria Holdcroft. After being at Worlds over the summer, after she put in a ton of work, you could tell her Worlds performance was absolutely amazing. I was actually blown away by it, to be honest. And now she's showing up here with results that I've never seen from her before. I'm really impressed with Maria Holdcroft.
Nathan, it's one thing to get to this level, to be able to race with the A women, and then it is a quantum leap to become an exceptional talent out of this group, which is what Maria Holdcroft has done. Just blown away. It's one thing to level up, but then to level up from your level up, well, Maria, you're a legend. Los Adejes going to the line, the two-time world champion out of that selection today. I can't wait to see this top 10. And you know, when you talk about ZRL, every rider's points matter. So the top 10, you can't guarantee anything from that, but it can give you a good feel for what team is on top. They came in with a 2-point advantage after the first 2 of 6 races this season, the Aeonian squad. Cryo, though, had made some big moves last week. This was another, I mean, one thing's for sure, Nathan, is that Cryo has turned this season into a much more thrilling endeavor than if Aeonian was going to be dominating out here. Aeonian, I'm not saying they've met their match, but they might be.
Take a quick look at how it played out. I was incorrect, actually. Alice played that really well. Maybe even a little bit earlier. She could have played the anvil there, as we saw. Nice little kick there from her with that anvil, and then a downhill. Needed a little bit more speed to get away with it, or maybe even sit in and use the anvil. She was the only rider with an anvil left, though.
Yep.
She was the only one with one left, though. Interesting enough, nobody saved it for that downhill.
She's maybe the smartest Zwifter that we've met, Alice Lethbridge, with experience and savvy. But let's look at this sprint now. See how Aeonian, Nathan, is running the numbers quite well at this point.
You're right.
That's what I'm talking about. 3 in the top 4, that puts you almost in an unbeatable spot, even if they don't get the win.
That's a good point there, Dave. And wow, what a nice job by Aeonian. Holdcroft with the timing. Lowe's takes second, but it looks like Aeonian.
Just like you don't say Honda. They only be there when they need to be. They don't waste their time. And actually, they're saying that Lowe's won, Nathan.
Oh, what? Oh my God! Wow! Apologies, everyone. I on the playback
again.
But,
we are
back end API.
We're calling it by eye. Yeah.
Apologies, everybody.
API, don't lie.
You know, we focused in on Maria Holdcroft, but back end is saying it's Los. I see Los here. You know, we showed Maria roll around for quite a while there. We'll have to give Los her time on camera in a second here as well. But Los at the top.
Now
Dave.
is the awkward moment when you have to go ask for the prize money back, right? Luckily, we don't have that scenario here. Los Adejes, no surprise as we see her on the top step. Maria Holdcroft, everything we said holds true. But it does look like she'll settle for silver today, with Leonie Harper coming through for third, Cecilia Hansen in fourth, Jenny Eck there in fifth. Part of that cryo resurgence for sure, as Charlotte Wilson in sixth today. Sarah London, the Swedes, getting up there. Couple riders in the top 10. Jill Pruett, our guest interview. Jill, fantastic, and she found the top 10 quality ride from Jill Pruett. Another South African, Kelsey Jade Van Schuur in ninth, and then Ann Nevin rounding out our top 10.
Real quickly, let's take a look. We've got a little bit of time here, about 15 minutes before the next race starts, actually. So let's go ahead and take a quick look at how things were playing out originally. Now, this is not the standings afterwards, but with the way that played out with Aeonian and Dave, and maybe just an overview of how this season, you know, what we've seen so far from the teams, and a little bit of predictions as well from what we've seen today and moving forward.
Well, Aeonian's going to add another point to their advantage here over Cryo. It looks like, I'm kind of projecting, but I think odds are pretty good that they'll have a 3-point lead on Cryo coming into next week, which is a team time trial. So that's certainly the speciality of Aeonian as well. So it's closer than we thought, though. That's for sure. At some point, we start looking at that battle for second, third, and fourth and those spots on the podium, and it's going to be tight. As BL13, certainly with Jill Pruett and company up there, Nathan. I don't know whether Swedish Swifters may be having a slightly better race today than BL13, but that's going to be really close there. Probably some of the most compelling racing is going to come from those spots, and they're still within striking distance of Aeonian. So Aeonian hasn't put the champagne on ice quite yet for this season. But that's, I think, some of the most spirited racing we're seeing anywhere in the ZRL is happening with the BL13s, the Swedish Swifters, and Cryo.
Yeah, one thing I definitely want to highlight too is there's these battles going on in the lower places. Like you had said, I think we're going to end up with an SZ versus BL13 situation, perhaps, where BL13 are going to be chasing the heels of SZ. Now we've got Cryo RDT versus RT, Aeonian RT at the very top for first and second is what it starts to feel like. Then there's this battle between Cyrus Esports and Coalition as well. And then Beast Mode, I get the sense that Beast Mode might make a little bit of a jump today. We did see them in that final pack. I didn't see much Phoenix ESRT or Level Wasp there. So it's going to be interesting how that one's going to play out.
Yeah, I completely agree, Nathan. And it's always worth remembering, too, like looking at Ceres and Coalition and Phoenix, is that much like racing in real life is you don't necessarily always have to be racing for the win to making it compelling. A lot of times the getting to know the riders who are in your ability level, and amongst Ceres, Coalition, and Phoenix, there'll be a real battle for that top 5 spot. They actually add in Beast Mode and Level Wasps as well. As effectively those 5 teams will be fighting for a spot in the top 5, it looks like. And that's a lot of fun. And you change your tactics based on the reality of what you're racing for out here.
Take a quick look at how things played out a little bit throughout the race before we head on into the men's race. It was those early attacks, though, wasn't it? This is one thing I definitely want to highlight with the way that this course can be written. Bissoni, she made, I would give her probably the most aggressive rider on the day, Dave, because of the way that she rode this. I mean, nonstop attacks. She might not have ended up with the results she was looking for, but she definitely put the pack on the back foot and made those initial attacks.
Yeah, and I mean, this has sort of been the theme of the last couple of weeks, is animating bike races with purpose. And she certainly did animate the bike race without any doubt. Did it affect her ultimate outcome? Probably, to tell you the truth. But it's one of these type of things that you don't want to rein in an aggressive bike racer at this point. And certainly, this is the way Roberta races, and it has an impact, certainly, on how other teams have to respond. And there's going to be the day where they give her too much leash and she rides away for a solo victory.
I mean, it was so close in the end, too. I mean, as we saw, Dave, wasn't it? I mean, the reality of the way that ended up playing out in the finish. But all Grupo Compacto at this point, right, as they were heading into the KOM, things really got insane once they did hit that KOM. As you can see, it is Alice Lethbridge that was making the press at the front, along with teammate Nevin. I believe that is going to be Lois that was locked onto her wheel, as well as the teammate Wilson. I believe that was one of the riders that was really locked on there. Losa, though, headed to the front at the top, but it was Bissoni, though, making moves halfway through the climb, and then at the end of the climb, it was Lois Adegis trying to make those moves, trying to get away, unable, though, to do so.
Well, and certainly whittling down the field and the number of contenders for her Aeonian team, Nathan. I think that maybe the big takeaway from this race for me is going to be that Aeonian showed up with a game plan. They stuck with it throughout the entire race, and they had the ability to get the desired result, right? So they bet on themselves and won today.
Yeah, what's interesting is I think that this move set them up really well. Cryo was right there, followed the moves, but perhaps this move, it was a 50-50 gamble between those two teams, the way that they ended up in the position they did over the top of this KOM. Essentially, the KOM was the setup for how they ended up in that sprint.
And I would say that this is a you can't lose move here from our ultimate race winner today, Los Adagist, where I think that she knew that I'm going to throw some gasoline on this fire. It's going to flare up, and there's only going to be the strong women that are going to be able to make it into that front group. And then we're down to brass tacks out here. And that's exactly what she did. About half of this field was unable to hang with that level that she set. And it does regroup at this point. It was a little touch and go, wasn't it, for a while here?
Yeah, this was that moment that Cryo had the numbers, right? This was the moment where we were looking at that chase group, we were looking at this group, and we were like, what's going to happen? And eventually we ended up with these two groups where Cryo, up in that front group here, they had the opportunity, and they kind of didn't take it. You know, there was an opportunity to go all in at this point. And maybe they didn't have the energy for it, though, too. That might have been a reality as well. Dave. You know, I can talk all I want here, but I'm not the one pedaling.
And also, there's the fact that you're not just racing against Aeonian out here. And it certainly could have backfired on Cryo. If they put all their chips into the middle of the table trying to beat Aeonian, the other teams could use that against them out here. So Cryo is not only trying to win the season, but they're also not looking to give up second place.
100%. Well, it was an amazing race. We saw in the finish, it was so close that we had to go to the back end API for the battle between Holcroft and Los Adagist for the scratch across the line. Aeonian, it looks like, have taken it on the day. We'll have to go over to WTRL.racing to get an update on the exact team standings. Before we head on into the men's race, though, we did have some more opportunity to catch up with Jill Pruett and the BL13 team that we just saw out there racing. And Jill, what an awesome job on your race out there today. Let's go ahead and hear more from her. BL13 has some incredibly talented cyclists, but they're a newer team. Can you share any insights into the recruitment process and how it's been like working alongside that and watching this team grow from strength to strength?
It's been really interesting because I'm part of the group that vets new cyclists, and it's so interesting to see how they do it. They take it incredibly seriously, but it's a very collaborative approach as well to see who the new person potential rider is, to see what their stats, their history is, to vet them, to make sure that the power numbers that they're putting out make sense, because we want to create a community of fair riders.
Zwift Racing League has diverse race formats, including points, time trials, scratch races. Which format do you enjoy the most and why?
I love the time trials. I love the social aspect of riding. Well, I suppose that happens with any of the races because we'll all be on a Discord channel. But the constant communication, it's all about communicating. It's all about the strategy of a time trial where you want to be as efficient as possible. So hold your line, keep your line, talk if you're falling off the back, and there's so many aspects to the time trials that make it fun. I love the generally we do a 30-second pull on the front, so I love pushing myself for 30 seconds and then falling back, recovering, and then helping the team when need be.
So is there any moments in your racing career or the Zwift Racing League that really stand out as most memorable to you?
I think the most memorable was when I was a B rider and I could actually do really well in a race. And I remember it was a scratch race and there was a hill at the end, and I love hills, and I was going and there was this big gap behind me, and it was just really fantastic. And then the next ZRL race I got disqualified because I started doing A numbers and then I started A racing, and I was so anxious because I didn't know if I was going to get dropped because I'm clearly not one of the strongest A riders. For me, it's being part of the pack and being able to stay into the pack and holding on to the pack when there are such powerful ladies that I'm riding with.
In relation to that, being upgraded from B to A, do you feel like you're at a plateau, or do you have aspirations for future goals right now with racing in the virtual worlds?
chatting to some of the other ladies, BL13 ladies who have started coaching, you can see that your numbers can improve. Your numbers can keep improving. And I'm so inspired at the moment to keep improving my numbers. And I know that I can do better. And so I don't feel like I'm at a plateau. I just know that I need to do a few things differently to be able to improve.
How would you describe your racing style, and how do you leverage it to excel in the Zwift Racing League?
My racing style, just keep going. Yeah, so my racing style really is, I do love sprinting. I put my whole effort into that, and then I start sprinting, and my husband's standing next to me, and he says, "Don't go so fast, just pull back, pull back." I'm like, "Well, I can't just stop." And he's, "Well, don't stop." And then I go, and then it's so stressful for me. But I think that we must be the most quirky people to, if anyone ever had to watch us cycling, or me cycling and him next to me. On ZRL also this week, I did my race, and then he was 20 minutes behind me. So I came in, and it was an amazing finish. So then I start screaming, like, "Go Snowy, go Snowy, go!" And I also realized that everyone else who is following him on YouTube can hear me screaming.
If you could wish for one feature in Zwift, one thing to add, anything that you want, what would it be?
Do you know what I love in real life? Is riding with my husband, and he puts his hand on my back, and he just like pushes me up, and it's just this like angel from behind. I suppose that's a bit like an aero boost, but that, yeah, I think that would be a good one.
Yeah, so shared power up.
Like that.
If you had one piece of advice to give someone who's considering joining the Zwift Racing League or getting into racing on Zwift, what would it be?
It's fun. We're doing it for the fun of cycling. Don't take it too seriously. And I think that's calmed my anxiety. There are lots of people who don't want to get into racing because they're anxious and they're not good enough, or there's a place for everyone. And just do it because it's fun, because it's social. You can push yourself as hard as you want to, but just enjoy it.
Well, Jill, it's been absolutely awesome having you on and hearing more about your racing and BL13. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much, Nathan. Really enjoyed the interview, and good luck to all the ladies riding out there. It's going to be a great ZRL season.
Well, she had quite the race out there today, that's for sure, Dave. I mean, so much energy, and that's a Zwift family, right? The kids are Zwifting, they get the game, you know what I mean? The dad's streaming on YouTube. I can relate to this family. They're pretty cool.
I want to meet Snowy now.
Right?
You know?
Who's Snowy?
Right.
I was like, and I think I've seen him before. I think I've seen his streams here and there before. I kind of recognize, but I was trying to remember. But that was such a great, and the fact that they're all into it. And there was another little story that I couldn't really fit in about how like the kiddos know that when they Zwift, that they can get their little TV time and don't interrupt the dad, because this is our time. And like I could totally relate to like, okay, when dad's street, I'm doing my thing here and whatever. And they could, and then there was another story of like their oldest went to sleep over at someone's house and was like, "Can we watch TV while your parents Zwift?" And they were like, "We don't Zwift. I don't know what you're talking about." That's how a part of their life this is. It's so cool to see.
Yeah, that really is. Again, these interviews have added a lot to the broadcast, that's for sure. And yeah, Jill, we're going to be fans of yours, and this is how you connect with racers for sure. So, and she had a top 10 out there today. There's something, Nathan, I love about a human being that can have fun with things, stay humble, and still quietly be a badass, which Jill clearly is.
Totally. Hey, let's take a quick look at the current standings here. We got about 30 seconds before we got to get over to live here. But Zed's Underpants at the top here, Dave.
It's a real battle. Carey was a great interview from last week as well, and I was noting that they're going to have a real battle on their hands. His D-Pack Elite, that's the team with Fabian Davola and company, just 1 point back, and then it's only one more point behind them to No Pins R3R, which is a team of straight-up monsters. Speaking of monsters, Mutant is at 25 points, only 6 out. The more competitive it is, the more interesting the racing's going to be. We've got a lot to look forward to out here today, as it'll be interesting to see, Nathan. I mean, Zed Sunderpants is in a real battle here.
Yeah, it'll be, and they tend to do really well with getting away with those time trials and putting a pretty good hit on the rest of the team with those time trials. But can they continue on with this? It's going to be the big question. Now, they did this last race as well. Take a look at this. This is going to be ART off the front a little bit with Witten. I actually saw some comments about it from our highlights of how they were taking on the initial kicks right out the gun. ART, they like to push it right from the get-go, it feels like.
Yeah, definitely a team that clearly, when they order Thai food, they go with 3 stars spicy.
I like it.
More than most.
It's the spicy Adams. I'm going to call them the spicy Adams
right.
from now on.
Well, we've got ART, the Atomic Racing Team, MTNT, that's the Mutants, and SRT, obviously the racing team, all comes into play. But this team we'll certainly be talking a lot about today. Dave Kinno, El Gringo, Gary Witten, Johnny Adams, Mark Day, and Nick Oring all taking the start for Art out here today. And that's Gary right up on the front right now.
We also have that Boars team, that OUT team.
Out, right?
Yeah, the Outboards. They have been interesting team. Let's take a look now. We'll do a little bit of a comparison between the two of them here. They've got, they've got some big hitters here, Dave. And the reason I'm doing these two is because Kingberg has the 5.3. That's where they've got a weapon, right? Like a pretty serious weapon. He's got a good kick on him too as well, but they've definitely got a weapon in that 5.3 watts per kilogram. But the other week I talked about dropping Alex Donnell, not just because I knew I needed to. That if I did not get rid of this man, he will sprint me to the line, and it's not a good place to be in with 1,133 and 15.3. That guy, watch out for him if he can make it. Now, getting rid of him is going to be a huge goal.
I have no idea. Right? How do you do that?
It's a very short. It's so short, right? So
yeah. And you look, this is going to be, it's not that often, Nathan, that I say I would expect the men's race to play out pretty similar to what you saw with the women, but I think that's the case today. And it seems like this course sets a plot line that's hard to deviate from, with the serious climb happening halfway through the KOM. In this case, not everybody's going to make it through that threshold, Nathan, but once you do, there's not a lot of places if you've proven yourself there, in general, you're in pretty good shape to make it with that group through the rest of the race to the finish line. So it's kind of a 2-act play here.
Take a look here at the pack as they do head downhill. They made their way through the main parts of the park here for just a moment. They're going to be downhill for a second here. ART back on the front with Witten again. Now, they're going to have this sharp downhill right into the glass, and that's where we saw Bassoni in the women's race making the moves now. So I have a feeling we may see something here. This is your first opportunity, and being such a short race, I don't know. This is my mindset. You only get so many opportunities to roll the dice, and you better roll them unless you're going to go all in on one move. Otherwise, there's 2 ways to play this. All in on one move, at least how you're going to use your resources, or a steady ebbing away at the field. That's your 2 options, in my opinion.
Well, it's interesting, Nathan, you talk about risk and reward and the gambling element of racing. But, I've heard it said before, and I certainly wouldn't argue, like the war games, right? The only way to win is to not play. And I almost think that's the story here. We saw it like with Christoph Kroll in that qualifier, where by being so active in the first half of the race where nothing was ultimately determined, you took a little bit of sting out of or a little bit of punch out of your legs when the finale came, right?
Great point.
So,
Actually, that's exactly the example for the counter to the point there. That look, if you do too much, you end up off the back here up front. But BZR, they don't care, Dave. It looks like they're getting covered.
And that's the great thing about bike racing, again, is, once you completely believe in that, someone attacks, a breakaway goes clear, and they stay away all day, right? So that's what makes this sport so compelling.
The number of narratives that can play out over time are so awesome here, and the number of options, the build your own story. Look at this, Sharp there as well from Wahoo. Over the top, it's going to be Fawcett there from Mutant. So all the teams getting involved in covering the moves here.
Yeah, and Nathan, you'll see the two riders in white and blue, very familiar, the Sisu kit. It looks like they were trying to do something here, and we've got a moment, no doubt about it. Ross Fawcett here, Carl Jannegen, Callum Sharp, excuse me, and Kieran Meaney all pressing the pace right now on the glass roads.
Jarn Hagen from OUT. Now these two have a little bit of a gap. Deepak are interested. Dave, if Deepak are interested, this could be a thing. Fabian Davola, one of the strongest riders in this group, and he's pressing this on. He is smart, too, about, it's a cover and kill. Only 3.7 on the front. I get the feeling that Davola was just making sure that wasn't actually going anywhere as he backs off to 4.5. Now, 4.5 is not sitting up, though. It's kind of a middle ground of making a guess about what's going to happen, it looks like to me.
Yeah, you're kind of covering all your bases, aren't you, at 4.5 to 4.7 just off the front of this group. You're certainly not backing off, that's for sure. But right now, Nathan, with no Zed Sunderpants anywhere near the front, not throwing shade
where they
on them,
are. Look where they are, though.
Right. They're letting everybody else burn some matches right now is what they're doing.
They're
kind
perfectly positioned, Dave. Look at that. One right across the line. Right across the line right there.
The entire team lined up in the second row. That's
it's like getting set up for an in real life Tour de France sprint, right? Like you're right where you need to be with 10K out or something.
Right, exactly. You couldn't position any better, but you can also see how at this level, it's really hard to hold on to a moment like that as they continue to push the pace. 20K of racing, Anvil power up. We didn't really highlight that enough in the women's race. That the Anvil, Nathan, the Anvil is a one of the kind of power-ups that if you look at it, you think, how could this be effective? Well, Nathan, we've seen it more than once have a dramatic impact. But boy, like Alice Lethbridge was very, very close to getting that right. She was the only woman that had the courage to save her Anvil for that moment. And in the risk-reward scheme of things, it almost paid off for her.
Oh, yeah. And, that Anvil, it is one of the most dangerous power-ups in the game. And the thing about the Anvil is the way that it works is it's so strong that if everybody uses it correctly, it neutralizes pretty quickly. But its impact, how can I say? Like you've got like the draft power up is like a tank and then you've got like a middle of the road kind of aggressiveness with the feather and the arrow, but the
arrow
Anvil,
and feather like a push in the back kind of like
where
a little boost.
The Anvil is like this very precise boom, and it can change everything in an instant. And if you use it correctly, it is a knockout punch move that is almost impossible to do anything about if others do not respond correctly. It is such a strong power up.
I actually thought, going back to Jill Pruett's comment, that was a brilliant idea of the hand on the back push, which you see in racing not all the time, but it's definitely a thing. And how about that? If you could just give a few watts from yourself over to another rider with a hand on the back. I would think that our engineers could figure out how to do something like that.
Yeah, from the world of gaming, this is something we've talked about a lot, actually, a little bit with the dev team, that they think it's interesting and stuff. But this idea of what we've seen in some of the other online competitive games, that you would have a situation,
like giving energy.
Yeah, like a healer and a damage character, and how they go together. But in cycling, it would be like if you play your role correctly, maybe then your power up is a role. So you have a certain power up that isn't like if you give a draft to someone for a long enough time in the right kind of way, and they sit in your draft long enough, and you use that power up as a lead out power up, then it gives them even an extra boost if you
Or
guys
like a
did it
bigger
correctly.
slingshot.
Yeah, exactly.
A bigger slingshot out of it or something. If you use
Jill and I talked about that a little bit after the conversation, that like different ways that you could implement different power-ups that are very cycling-esque, like it's still cycling niche, but it brings ideas from the gaming world in about how you coordinate the resources that you can be given that are extra, that don't feel like an extra added to cycling. It's actually a part of cycling.
Right. It was Jill the best interview that we've ever had in the history.
They're all good. I can't go there, Dave. They're all really good. They're all really good. But she definitely had a lot of great energy and obviously really loves Zwift.
Yeah, Carrie's like, hey, what am I, wet toast? It's like, no, Carrie was an awesome interview too. No doubt. We got Carrie out in this race, don't we? On the Zed Sunderpants team. That's the team with the white jersey and the red shorts.
Current
I'm not
leaders.
seeing his name popping.
Yeah,
they got a one. There he is, Gary
Okay.
Pritchard, right there. They have a 1 point advantage coming into today, the third race of the season. Back to team time trialing, which is their specialty next week.
What'll be interesting is how people start to set up toward the front of this race in just a moment here, because things have really calmed down. I mean, look at this. 3.1 on the front. Sisu just chilling. Sisu obviously very interested in staying exactly where they need to be for the start of this climb. The road to speed is going to be interesting, though, from the pack. What? There we go. It's going to be Ariel. Here, the Israeli. He's hammering at the front here. A little bit of a kick. Now backs off because that might not do a whole lot for him other than put his heart rate up before they hit this climb.
Definitely accomplished that. That's Ariel Hamovich up there animating. Christoph Hochhold, Kieran Meaney, Dirk Sandick, James Dominguez, and Chris Poole making up the Sisu team out here today.
Mutant in the green jerseys, just so everybody knows, that is making their way to the front. Watch out for those green jerseys. Now it's going to be Zed Sunderpants, the first time that we've really seen them at the front of the bike race now, looking to hit the KOM in position. There goes Mutant now. Who is that from Mutant on the front there for just a second?
Well,
He's going to be backing off. That's going to be Kenny.
Yeah, look at Zed Sunderpants here. They clearly have their marching orders today and know exactly what they're doing. I think a similar game plan to what we saw, to tell you the truth, from Aoni and Nathan, from these guys. They're not going to be anything but patient.
Yeah, it's really calculated from them today, isn't it? Like extremely
Well, it wasn't it from
calculated.
Aonian too?
Yeah.
Didn't you feel that? Like there was a game plan. They rode to that. They probably never found plan B.
Yeah, it's a great point. I mean, look at Zed Sunderpants. They are right where they need to be. I'm looking left of the pack.
Nothing more,
there,
nothing
two riders. We're seeing three riders here now up toward the front of this. So Zed Sunderpants, they are the series leaders for a reason. They play it really smart. When we had that interview with Carrie Pritchard, I could tell they took this stuff seriously. It was no joke for them.
Yeah, I mean, it's like a lot of teams actually have impressed me with their data analysis and understanding of exactly how this league works, really informed. And it's part of the fun for these teams, too, is not just, kind of showing up confused, wondering where your socks are as you come flying out of a portalet to go to the start line. These guys know what they're doing before they show up at the bike race. There's a plan. The organization is a big, big part of this. But, man, Nathan, Grupo Compatto, everyone all together right now.
And that Uno X kick, just so everybody knows, I have a feeling that is going to be Colsit here.
That's
I think he's riding for BL13 though, or no? Who is he riding for?
I thought Magnus was out, but let me get on to that.
You're probably right. I'm probably way off on that one.
No, I was actually starting to think you were probably right. So I think you are right, actually. Magnus is not on out. I like that team a lot, Uno X. And it's cool to see the kit, but it is confusing me right now.
Yeah, I mean, the in-game kit, there is a reality of wearing your pro in real life kit, though, too, right? So there is it's kind of this, I think we're kind of starting to get beyond that, though. We're starting to get to a point where this is its own discipline. But before it was always, look, we need to match the in real life kit. But if there's a conflict, and you want to ride for a team in the community races, you can understand that side too.
Level 100 Zwifter Magnus is. He does race for Uno X. Uno X is a gas station. Did you know that, Nathan?
No, I had no idea. That's awesome. Huh. Interesting.
Yeah, they've been a great sponsor for Scandinavian cycling. I think
Vola?
they're only really in.
No, a little bit of a push. These are the main
Well, that's a
sections here
big
now.
name.
This is it now as they come over to the top. But the reason why I'm not so hyped at this point is because there isn't a lot of separation, Dave. I mean, now this might do something. Now, there are anvils available. This may be an all-in move here coming in from the OUT. It's a big risk, but they could do something with it, perhaps.
Boy, I would save my anvil if I'm Fabian or any of these guys like Carl up here, knowing that the bike race is going to come down to that finale today. They did not blow this group up. It was not as disruptive as what Los Adajes did in the women's race. Nathan, these guys dangling off the front. In my mind, this is a temporary problem.
Yeah, here we go.
We'll see.
Kenny coming
You never
across. Interesting.
Yeah, here comes Steven.
Hmm.
That's Stephen Kenny going back or right through that front group here. One of the mutants.
And a lot of, look at this. That's interesting. Now, this is an interesting thing. Like, I've always feel conflicted about using a power up when everybody else is. And
Well,
and I'm like, if
yeah,
you can hang on with them, good. But here,
Well,
look
here,
at how
watch
they
out,
go
watch
away,
out.
though.
Heads up. Sunderpants is trying to pull a move here, Nathan.
Oh, yeah, that's
It
going
looks
to
to
be
me-
John and John Glad.
They're
Lots of
trying
them.
to do a BL13 on us.
Whoa, massive
They're
speed.
doing a BL13.
Is it going to work? Oh, I don't think it's going to work.
It's going to backfire, but I think they tried it.
They really need some roll through speed here. They
Wow.
need to launch somebody if it's going to do anything at this point. Someone's got to go off for the top of it, but I have a feeling.
The entire team is there. All 6
Oh,
riders.
man.
They are looking to get into a team time trial 1 week early.
Well, here's the thing. What could have happened there is one of them could have hit
Smaller.
it. If they could have hit the front, it's actually a really cool tactic. If they could have done it in a little bit more unison, it would have had to been extremely planned.
Well,
But they could have had
and how
one at
about
the
if they were
front
able to,
with that
and then
anvil.
drop a
And then
drop an
another,
anvil and then-
and then another,
Right.
and then another. But it just was not. They kind of just did it all at once, and then the whole pack was just on them.
Right. They had the right idea. They didn't have quite the right sequencing.
Well, at the front,
Close,
now.
though. I like the idea, but now, Nathan, one thing that we know is they don't have any anvils for the finale. If you're the Mutants or Zed Sunderpants has no power-ups, is what you know.
Yep, the information's been given, and there were plenty
Yeah.
in that pack who did not use their
You
power.
don't have to be a Zwiftologist to know that.
Yeah, so I mean, looking here, let's take inventory. What do we got for teams still here, Dave? I'm seeing D-Pack Elite 1, 2, 3 riders, at least 3
Wahoo with
riders.
4 or Wahoo with 3, excuse me.
Okay, so Wahoo have made it. It looks is it where's Wahoo? Is that Cyrus we're looking at here? Oh yeah, Wahoo's there. Okay, 1, 2. You're right. 3 for with Wahoo. Good,
3,
good
yeah.
eye. Good eye there.
And then the out team is wearing the dark blue jersey with the yellow
Yep.
swashes on it.
It's all
right? So they have
pretty even
3.
at this point. It's
4.
really evened out. There's
Yeah.
a lot of 4s. Zed Sun is
How
the
many
only
does
one with
Zed
5
Sunderpants
per have,
have?
I believe. They have 5 here.
Yeah.
They've covered
Actually,
everything.
they have 6.
Oh,
don't they?
wow. Okay. Wow, that's
Or
a different
they do.
story.
They do. So this is their day.
Maybe
they can
that's
get-
why they use the anvils all together there, Dave. Get a gap.
Oh, they split.
You've got
Well, and
6.
so they didn't get exactly like the insane scenario of 6 riders on the same team riding a team time trial at the front, but they did get numbers, so it worked.
Yeah, it's a good point. They have the numbers. Now the question is, though, does it hold? What's behind here? I mean,
It holds.
there's a chase. There is a chase, so they need to. I do see a chase back there. How far back are they? That's the big question.
And just as you say that, Nathan, literally Zed Sunderpants puts a rider on the front to lift the tempo.
Yep.
So
Because ART's on the
I think-
chase. They're on the chase hard here, and they're bringing D-Pack. 3 D-Pack. 3.
well, that's the big loser in this. Deepak definitely getting caught
Oh,
out.
2.
And
Excuse me. 2 D-Pack and 1 BZR. Very
Even
similar
with
jerseys.
2,
Yeah.
Right, even 2 is a problem back here. They might get back.
And
I mean,
what
if-
does
if you're
Zed Sun
Zed Sunder-
does Zed Sun do the work at this point with the numbers that they have up there? I don't know. Like,
No. You know why you don't, Nathan? Because if you've got this scenario now, these guys got dropped once. They've had to chase back. We're going to be into the finale in about 10 minutes here. I think you could expect somewhat similar results the next time it goes hard, which will be at the finish line most likely.
We're taking a look at Sebastian Leban at 5.3 watts per kilogram, just trying to hang on because right in front of him, it's going to be Rob from No Pins R3R on the chase up into that 64 kilometers per hour. There's the roll through speed coming from Deepak as they look to make contact. It is going to happen.
Back.
They're doing it.
Yeah,
they're doing it.
Well, and if Deepak, Nathan, I definitely don't mind being wrong here either. If Deepak is able to get these riders back up here and improve their scenario in the finish and then take more points today than Zedson, good on them because they kept their head in the game. They definitely did. It looks like an attack going off of the front with Zedson right now here.
Yeah, Zedson on the move with, it's going to be Pritchard. It's Pritchard. Right alongside of, that's going to be one of the mutant team members here. Kerry Pritchard does not want a sprint situation. He loves the big team.
This is for his teammates.
He was a professional time trialist, way back in the day here. Him and Fawcett here now off the front.
Yeah, he talked about doing team pursuit and stuff as well. So this is the kind of guy, I would think that this is more to help his teammates get a better result than for his result right now, is my thought.
Yeah, it's a good call because it's going to cause so much disruption behind here for some wasted matches, using up some energy. He's the kind of guy.
His teammates get to sit on.
Yeah, and I think he's going to come through with a lot of speed here now. He likes the downhills a little bit more than the uphills, I think, Kerry. Now here he goes. Pritchard on the front now, getting it up to 63 kilometers per hour. We've got looking for one rider looking to come across. Now, there's going to be a ton of roll-through speed as Archibald looks to come across, though. But that pack is going to have a lot of speed carried into the uphill, and they could get a little bit of a launch pad with that speed into the uphill. We could see more acceleration from them than the main pack, but we'll have to wait and see what happens here. Yeah, that pack's coming on quickly here. What are they doing at the front? It's going to be the big question to hold this on. Pritchard continues, but the lot comes back here now at this point. Coming across, Deepak now trying to make a move to get to Pritchard. And I think it's all going to come back. Wow, look at that.
Wow.
Aero power up from, oh my gosh, Dave, this is awesome.
Yeah, wow, phenomenal. So we've got a new leader here up and over the top. It's going to be Fabian Davola, one of the most talented esports racers out there today.
Davola gets into the super tuck quickly there, 62 kilometers per hour, and will he continue on right back into 5 watts per kilogram? He's got to kick up into 6 if he wants to hold on to this. Now it goes into 6, 6.4, 464 watts. Now it's going to be on the front now, Taft. This race has opened up full gas. This is full boogie now here at Dave. Wow. Everybody's left, right, and center attacking.
Yeah, they're going to come up and over the top, so even the mighty Fabian Davola can't hold them off. It's going to really be hard to get away from this group at this point, Nathan. These guys are absolute monsters. Zedson has got this set up. They've got the numbers in this group. All they need to do is play par on the final hole, and they're going to hold on to their overall lead here. Small advantage, but it looks like today might be going their way.
Well, it was a good move by Davola to try and make something happen, but brought right back into the fold as Taft shuts it down. And now up and over the top, it's going to be Zedson with a counterattack into this long grind we had talked about. Nice move here being made. Is that going to be again? Oh, no, it's actually Uno X. Well, it's not Uno X. He has the Uno X in game. I believe he's riding for BL13 because there is no Uno X team in game here, just so everybody knows. I believe that this rider is riding for, I'm going to have to double check that. I'll go check WTRL right now to make sure I got that right. But nice little attack here coming from Colsit.
Yeah, the other possibility is Wahoo, Nathan? For a team for Magnus here? We're trying to figure that out. Apologize. It's just a very unique situation, but this is going to be hard to bring back now. As a matter of fact, I don't know that Magnus is seen again today, Nathan.
Yeah, this is a really serious move. Look at the way that he is just riding away at they're all just watching him too. They're not even responding to this at this point. So really good move here coming from Magnus. Now, they can close down that 6 seconds real quickly. You can't let it get too out of control. The reality of the level that we have here from this group is they can bring something like this back fairly quickly. But
see, part of what's going on, though, I think he is on Wahoo, Nathan, and they aren't going to take the bait. The top 3 teams here aren't going to use their resources and put themselves on the back foot for this finish. I think that they're not going to completely commit to chasing him back. Magnus has cracked the code
correct.
here.
He is on Wahoo. You are right. He is on Wahoo. Nice move here from them. They are currently sitting in 6th overall. So I get the sense that
everything I'm saying is
you're 100%
sense,
right here.
Right.
It's not BL13. My mistake. There is no BL13 in here from what I got to double check that here. But it looks like this is going to be a solid
Let's just
move
note
for Wahoo.
this is the one time Dave was right just happened here, folks. That's...
Hey, you got it right.
Yeah,
you did.
every
You got
dog
it right.
finds a
I was
bone.
way off.
Now you know how I feel day after day, Nathan. So, all right. Let's go back, though, as Magnus Kulset here is vulnerable because anybody's going to be Nathan.
Look at the speed.
Wow.
I mean, geez, they are just bringing this back so quickly. At 1.6 to go, it's going to be a tough ass to hold off this charging pack.
Yeah, and it goes to show you whether you're a World Tour pro or not, respecting these monsters in the peloton is something that's going to be required. Esports is its own unique thing, and the charge to the finish is on. Here we go. Finale time coming up on 1K to go.
Here goes OUT on the move, and it's going to be Jan Hagen. Most likely, this is the rider
who did.
He's not the rider with the sprint. Remember, this was the rider we looked at because he's got a good 20, and he's looking to set up the rest of the team.
Yeah, absolutely. He was up there riding on the front on the KOM earlier. This is going to be an interesting finish. Peloton, now they get the first sniff of the finish line. Fire Sox, it's on like Donkey Kong now.
Oh, does he have an anvil right here? It's an early kick here. Without an anvil, that's not going to go anywhere, actually. There's going to be so many anvils behind that I think that's going to be brought right back. It's going to be Anderson. Anderson here with the perfect power up there, but I don't think it's enough. It's not enough. Here comes OUT. No, it's actually going to be toward the front faucet. Davola looking to try and hold on. Fabian Davola with the kick. It looks like he's got the speed. Fabian Davola's going to take this one down. Oh. What a move. Guy knows his Zwift, and that's for sure.
Alex Denell getting up there for out. They had a really strong finale out here. Quite a mix of riders as they came through. Not a dominant performance there from Zed Sunderpants, but Nathan, actually, no reason to do a thumbnail sketch of that one, as the proof will be in the pudding when we look at the results. But with 6 riders up in that front group, they had a numerical advantage. Let's see if that played out for Zed Sunderpants or not today. No guarantees out here.
Yeah. That's going to be an interesting one with how many they had up there. But
they
end up in the sprint in a way that ends up on top because there might have been enough.
It didn't feel like it, to tell you the truth.
Oof.
It was quite a mix. Unlike the Aeonian finish where, it was pretty clear that they had the numbers and the quality-quantity equation. Out here, it was the wild, wild west in Central Park today for this finale. So many riders are operating at a high level and a similar level, which makes for tactical racing at its best. Let's take a look at the finish again.
Yeah, BZR with a nice little kick to try and get away. I thought that he would have had an anvil power up with that kind of a kick that early because you can't.
Well, they all used them, Nathan.
Yeah.
Everybody emptied out their power up bank on the descent after the KOM.
Very early for the reality of usually what we see. Anderson, though, he made that early move with it, trying to hold on with the speed. I think the move is middle of the pack with the anvil, but it's hard to stay there. Davola, he just carried the speed and the kick, and the reality is he was just the strongest kick to the line. He just had a distance, and that was it.
Let's talk about what would have happened if Zedsun had all saved their anvils for the finish. Well, you know what, Nathan? I didn't see this. They've got 2 in the top 4.
Yeah, and they might have even gone 3,
I've taken that back,
4.
actually.
They might have gone 3, 4. And now we can't make a call here at this point necessarily. Remember what happened last time. But
but that's a good sign for our top. As a matter of fact, that tips me to go back and correct myself. I think that they probably did. We'll see. That's for sure. Fabian on top of the table here with the win. Alex Donnell for out. That's a big result for that Swedish team. Carrie Pritchard in for third today. One of two. Zed Sunderpants in the top four is Rob Vanderberg in fourth today. Christopher Andresen in fifth. It's going to be Wilson for no pins, R3R in sixth. David Pacheco in seventh today. Stephen Kenny in eighth. Ross Fawcett. So some TNT boys right there. And eighth and ninth, Ross Fawcett ninth, and then Callum Sharp in for 10th on Wahoo.
See if I can get some idea of how the league table is going to play out in this this group, because it's a really close one here still. I think between the original, what we had seen in the league standings coming in, Zed Sun, they were at the top.
If they squeak it out,
yeah,
if they squeak it out, that's going to be a big one for them, as it wouldn't be by much. You can see how close this was coming into. Boy, Deepak gets the win with Fabian. Did he get any teammates in the top 10? It's going to take a little more than that, though, to tell you the truth. A first and a ninth don't stack up to a third and a fourth.
Yeah. That's a good point. So, I mean, now it's good to see this battle between Deepak and Zed Sun at the top, though. It's they definitely are putting on a show for all of us, aren't they?
Again, that doesn't include. Sorry, there, Nathan. That doesn't include today's race. So, this is just a give you a feel for what we had as they're tabulating those results. You can always go to WTRL.racing to find updated information. Or if you want to join a team, your teams are all set for this season, but they can recruit riders still. So if you'd like to get in, teams are always going to be looking for talent.
Yeah, and from what I'm seeing, unless there's more finishing that goes on here, I think Zed Sunderpants may have taken this down and gotten up to 47 points now, from what I'm seeing, with No Pins R3R at 44 and Deepak at 42. So No Pins getting the better, I think, of everybody.
That would create a tie for second on even points, would be Deepak and No Pins then. And both within striking distance of Zed Sunderpants. So it's not like they're racing for second at this point. Team time trial coming up next week. That's a speciality.
And that's their thing, right? Zed Sun. Right. I mean, they're a dominant force out here this season. That's for sure. And obviously, they're taking this one seriously.
Yeah, and their foundation is team time trialing for sure. So if you're going to beat them, you're going to have to beat them in their home court.
Yeah, that's right. And it'll be I'm going to be interested to see how it plays out, everybody. Next week, we will be covering this same division with the team time trial. And as this is, heating up toward the end of we got 3 races down, 3 to go here at this point. Next team time trial. Have teams thought about how did it go in the first one? What do we got to do differently? Some of these riders, they're just coming in for the first time for the season, perhaps, and we might see a shakeup in the formats going into the second half of the season. You get some lessons, you take your hits, do your training, and you can come back stronger. Zed Sun might be walking away a little bit here, but we could see the pendulum swing the other way from some of these teams that have to learn as the season goes on.
Yeah, I don't know that I'd say that they're walking away either. They're kind of trying to do the old Irish goodbye, right? Just kind of slide out the back door without anybody noticing.
I like that term. I haven't heard that one maybe once before, but I get it. But I think I haven't heard that one too many. The old Irish goodbye. That's a good one. That's a really good one.
So, and I mean, Nathan, I do want to again note that the reason why this is so compelling is because we've been following this the entire season. When we used to try to jump around and pick up this narrative, you can't do it by parachuting in the middle of a season. You have to have been watching this to understand that Zed Sun had the best team time trial, but now they've been challenged in our points or scratch racing format. And same thing for the women. The Aeonian team has really come up against some strong women, and I don't know that they expected the level of competition. We wouldn't know that if we only watch today's race. 100%. You have to build up this chapter by chapter by chapter. So really good job on your end, Nathan. The interviews, the compelling storyline, it's made for some really, really fun racing this season. Thank you.
Appreciate that, Dave. Appreciate that. Yeah, and I'm hoping that maybe we can get to a point in working with WTRL and getting to where we can have a solid ranking system that brings the cream to the top for specifically these time frames. And then, hopefully in some way, it's difficult. It's a really hard job to get done. But if we can get it done, then there's a really, really good, compelling reason for why we cover those specific categories. And but for right now, we've done our research, and this seems to be the ones that we can. And the timing between these two, they just really make a lot of sense. So,
yeah, I mean, to be fair, globally, this is the sweet spot of the day on planet Earth for broadcasts. It happens to be our lunchtime in America, right after work in the United Kingdom or in Europe, right? And yeah, again, that you can't please everybody all the time. But we're doing the best we can.
100%. Well, you can please a team if you join one. Go ahead and jump on out on a team, because next week on December 3rd, race number 4 is a team time trial on the team triple flat loops. If you want to join a team, you can't register one still, but you can head on over to WTRL.racing, Zwift Racing League, as well as over on the Facebook. Again, I want to remind everybody that's probably one of the main places you'll be able to find their Facebook page. People for the Zwift Racing League, they tend to have a lot of people looking for teams, and a lot of recruitment happens there. Or find a buddy, ask them that's involved. You get involved in the Zwift Racing League. Well, Dave, this was a good one. Mighty Metropolitan, short but sweet for each one of the races, and the racers definitely made the race out there for us today. Everybody, we will see you next week, same time, same place for that team time trial. But until then, from Dave and I, as always, ride on.